동안,
seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. Source: howtostudykorean.com. Below is a list of vocabularies to be used in this lesson. Vocabulary. Months of the year. 1.
월 1월 이퀄 제뉴에리 2월 2월 이퀄 페브에리 3월 3월 이퀄 마치 4월 4월 이퀄 에이프릴 5월 5월 이퀄 메이 6월 6월 이퀄 준 7월 7월 이퀄 줄라이 8월 8월 이퀄 오거스트 9월 9월 이퀄 september 10월 10월 이퀄 october 11월 11월 이퀄 november 12월 12월 이퀄 december
June 6.
월 6월
And October 10.
월 10월
Should actually be
6월
an,
10월
but, written like that, they are difficult to pronounce. Because of this, their correct pronunciations are
6월
an,
10월
not
6월
an.
10월 나운즈 기획
Chance opportunity.
계획 플랜즈 회사원
Office worker.
요리사
A cook chef.
운전사
A driver. Verbs.
달리다
To run.
요리하다
To cook.
운전하다
To drive.
죽다
To die. Adjectives.
두렵다
To be scared.
이상하다
To be strange. Adverbs and other words.
동안
For, during, while.
달 이퀄 먼스 개월 이퀄 먼스 날 이퀄 데이 하루 이퀄
1 day.
이틀
2 days.
사흘
3 days.
지난주
Last week.
지난달
Last month.
이번 주
This week.
이번 달
This month.
다음 주
Next week.
다음 달
Next month.
작년
Last year.
올해
This year.
내년
Next year.
평생 동안
In my whole life.
보통 이퀄 유질리 인트로덕션
In this lesson, you will build on what you learned in Lesson 10 by learning how to use a variety of different words of time in Korean. Using these words, you will be able to say I did X for 2 months or I didn't do Y last week. You will also learn whether you should use the pure Korean or Sino-Korean numbers when using these different words of time. The use of pure Korean or Sino-Korean numbers may seem random, but there is a reason for it. Anytime the time word is of Chinese origin, the Sino-Korean numbers are used. For example,
개월
month is counted using Sino-Korean numbers, because
개월
is of Chinese origin and has corresponding Chinese
한자
characters. Left double quotation mark.
달
Also meaning month, is a Korean word, and thus, counted using Korean numbers. A lot of Korean words are of Chinese origin and have corresponding Chinese
한자
characters. You will learn about those later. This lesson is a little bit less organized than the previous lessons. It was difficult to teach everything in this lesson together because you need to have a mutual understanding of all concepts in order to understand one of them. In order to understand how to use,
동안
you need to know how to use.
주
But in order to understand how to use,
주
you should understand how to use.
동안
Around and around we go. Anyways, I made it as simple as possible. After this lesson, anytime you learn about other time grammar concepts, it should be really easy because this lesson will give you a solid base to work from, for a certain amount of time.
동안
Is a very useful word that can be used to indicate how long an action occurs. It is typically placed after a duration of time. For example, 2.
분 2minutes 2분 동안
For 2 minutes. 10.
분 10minutes 10분 동안
For 10 minutes.
이틀
2 days.
이틀 동안
For 2 days.
동안
Can also be used to indicate that an action occurs while another action occurs. You will learn about that application in Lesson 33 after learning some key grammar points in the lessons to come. Those can then be added into sentences to indicate how long one does something for. Notice also that no additional particle is added to.
동안
One would think that
에
should be added, but it is not.
저는 10분 동안 걸었어요.
I walked for 10 minutes.
저는 30분 동안 공부했어요.
I studied for 30 minutes. while the translation of
동안,
in these examples is usually for, in essence, what you are doing is stating for that period of time. Understanding this will help you understand later usages of
동안.
in future lessons. For example,
저는 10분 동안 걸었어요.
I walked for a period of 10 minutes.
저는 30분 동안 공부했어요.
I studied for a period of 30 minutes.
저는 이틀 동안 안 잤어요.
I didn't sleep for 2 days. Remember, it doesn't matter if you use the word or the numeral when writing a number. However, typically the word is written when a pure Korean word is used with a counter like
개, 명, 번, 시간, 대, 살.
etc. in situations where Sino-Korean numbers are written. For example, in the sentences above, it makes no difference if you write the numeral or the word. Also remember that the spacing is different depending on if you write a numeral or a word. If writing the word, there should be a space between the number and the word. For example,
저는 10분 동안 걸었어요.
if writing a numeral, it doesn't matter if you include a space or not. Both are seen as acceptable.
저는 10분 동안 걸었어요. 저는 10분 동안 걸었어요.
I want to show you more and more examples of
동안,
and I expect you might not want to limit yourself to only
분,
minutes. So let's move on to hours. Full stop. Full stop. Korean hours.
시간,
Talking about minutes is easy because you always simply use.
분,
For example, 3
시 20분,
means 3:20, and 20
분 동안,
means for 20 minutes. When talking about hours, however,
시,
is used when talking about the hour on a clock, whereas
시간,
is used when counting hours. Notice the difference between these two sets. 3,
시, 3시 3시,
3 o'clock, 3,
시간 동안,
for 3 hours,
3시간 동안,
for 3 hours. Remember that pure Korean numbers are used when talking about hours. I usually write out the Korean word when I'm referring to an amount of hours as in the examples below. For example,
저는 3시간 동안 잤어요.
I slept for 3 hours.
저는 1시간 동안 달렸어요.
I ran for 1 hour.
저는 8시간 동안 운전했어요.
I drove for 8 hours.
저는 어제 1시간 동안 야구를 했어요.
I played baseball for an hour yesterday.
저는 어제 2시간 동안 TV를 봤어요.
I watched TV for 2 hours yesterday. Notice that
보다,
to see is used when watching something. You can also use
보다,
when you watch a performance or a concert, or similar things. In English, I saw a TV and I watched TV have two different meanings, but Koreans simply say I see TV. At this point you are probably asking saying okay, I understand how to say that I have done things for X hours or minutes, but what about if I want to say something like, I will eat in 3 hours, or I ate 3 hours ago, I will go in 10 minutes, or I came 10 minutes ago. You will learn how to create those types of sentences when you learn about
전,
and
후,
in lesson 24. For the moment, there is a ton of content in this lesson, so try to focus on what is presented here. Korean seconds.
초,
When talking about seconds, you need to use the Sino-Korean numbers when putting a number before.
초,
It doesn't matter if you use the word or the numeral. For example, 1
초 이퀄 1세컨드 1초 이퀄,
1 second, 2
초 이퀄 2시칸드즈 2초 이퀄 2시칸드즈 2초 동안 이퀄,
for 2 seconds,
2초 동안.
for 2 seconds. Examples in sentences.
저는 2초 동안 달렸어요.
I ran for 2 seconds.
저는 그 사람을 10초 동안 만났어요.
I met that person for 10 seconds. 1
분은 60초입니다.
minute is 60 seconds. Last, next,
지난 다음 지난,
and
다음,
are two words that you can use in many situations, including in situations related to time. In lesson 10, you learned about
마지막,
which can be used to refer to the last or final thing in a sequence. Remember, Korean people use another word when referring to a previous or last thing, as in, I saw a movie last. The previous week. In order to refer to a previous thing, the word
지난,
can be used. I drew a picture to depict the image I have in my head distinguishing
마지막,
an.
지난,
Imagine you are on a 6-week trip, and you are currently in your 4th week of the trip. You can use
지난,
to refer to the previous week, and you can use
마지막,
to refer to the final week. You can refer to them both as last week in English. For example, last
지난,
can be added immediately before some words of time. I discuss some a little bit later. To refer to a previous thing, this often translates to last, though. For example,
저는 지난주에 영화를 봤어요.
I saw a movie last week.
저는 지난주에 캐나다에 갔어요.
I went to Canada last week.
저는 지난 수업을 안 들었어요.
I didn't go to attend the last previous class. In order to say attend a class, Korean people say
수업을 듣다,
which literally translates to listen to hear a class. As such, you can see that the particle
을,
is attached to
수업,
because the class is the noun that is being listened to. Korean learners are sometimes confused as to why
에,
is not attached to
수업,
because they are accustomed to the English way of saying I didn't go to the last class. Also, note that this sentence is also correct, but is referring to a different class than above.
저는 마지막 수업을 안 들었어요.
I didn't attend the last class.
지난,
Can be added only before some words of time. For example, you couldn't say
지난 분 지난 초,
these would mean last minute second as in the last minute second that just passed, which doesn't make any sense. Notice that they do not have the meaning of I handed in my paper at the last minute. This meaning refers to the last minute in a sequence of minutes. Therefore,
마지막,
must be used in this case.
시간,
However, means time in addition to being a counter for hours. So,
지난 시간.
can be used to mean last time, but not last hour.
저는 그것을 지난 시간에 배웠어요.
I learned that thing last time. You can also use the word
번,
to refer to the last time something happened.
저는 그것을 지난번에 배웠어요.
I learned that thing last time.
우리가 지난번에 계획이 없었어요.
We didn't have plans last time.
우리는 지난번에 돼지고기를 먹었어요.
We ate pork last time.
다음,
Is used in the same way as,
지난.
but it means next. For example,
저는 다음 주에 영화를 볼 거예요.
I will see a movie next week.
저는 다음 주에 캐나다에 갈 거예요.
I will go to Canada next week. Like above,
다음,
can be used with
시간.
to mean next time, but not next hour.
우리는 다음번에 학교에 갈 거예요.
We will go to school next time.
우리는 다음 시간에 학교에 갈 거예요.
We will go to school next time.
나는 너를 다음번에 방문할 거야.
I will visit you next time.
나는 너를 다음 시간에 방문할 거야.
I will visit you next time. Korean days.
일날 하루.
Days are very confusing in Korean because there are a few different words you need to be acquainted with. You learned the names of the days of the week in the vocabulary section of another lesson. You should have noticed that every day of the week ends in
일
means day, but it is never used alone. If it is used alone, it means work. I'm looking at my Korean calendar now and see a variety of words ending in
일
Don't worry about these words now. Just recognize the importance of
일
within them.
총선.
General election.
총선일.
The day of the general election, election day,
현충일.
Memorial Day,
일
is also the counter for days. You learned in lesson 10 that you must use pure Korean numbers when counting. When you count days, however, you use Sino-Korean numbers when putting a number before.
일
It doesn't matter if you use the word or the numeral.
나는 3일 동안 공부했어.
I studied for 3 days.
나는 3일 동안 공부했어.
I studied for 3 days.
나는 3일 동안 학교에 안 갔어.
I didn't go to school for 3 days.
나는 3일 동안 학교에 안 갔어.
I didn't go to school for 3 days.
저는 5일 동안 계획이 없을 거예요.
I won't have plans for 5 days.
우리는 6일 동안 만나지 않았어요.
We didn't meet for 6 days. To make things more confusing, if you are counting days from 110, there is a word that corresponds to 1 day, another word that corresponds to 2 days, another word that corresponds to 3 days etc. The most common of these words is
하루,
which means 1 day,
하루,
is used much more than,
1일,
but 2,
1, 2일, 3일, 3일, 4일, 4일, 5일, 5일.
etc. are used more than their corresponding words.
저는 하루 동안 여행했어요.
I traveled for 1 day.
저는 사흘 동안 밥을 안 먹었어요.
I didn't eat rice for 3 days.
저는 3일 동안 밥을 안 먹었어요.
I didn't eat rice for 3 days.
우리는 이틀 동안 미국에 있었어요.
We were in America for 2 days.
우리는 10일 동안 한국에 있을 거예요.
We will be in Korea for 10 days. You can also place a Sino-Korean number before
1,
to refer to a specific day in a month. It seems like it would be easy to confuse when one is talking about the day of a month. 3.
1,
And when doing something for a specific period. 3.
1.
But, in sentences, these are easily distinguishable.
나는 3일에 수업을 들었어.
I went to class on the 3rd day of the month.
나는 3일 동안 수업을 들었어.
I went to class for 3 days. You can refer to a specific day and month by adding
1.
after.
월, 3월 2일, 마치 ENT 5월 25일, 매일 25시 저는 8월 15일에 도착할 거예요.
I will arrive on August 15th.
저는 이 여권을 1월 2일에 받았어요.
I received my passport on January 2nd.
날,
Is another word that means day and can be used as a standalone word, but not counted. It is used when talking about a specific day by itself. For example,
저는 그 날에 갔어요.
I went on that day.
저는 그 날에 계획이 있어요.
I have plans on that day.
저는 그 날에 선생님이 되었어요.
I became a teacher on that day.
우리는 그 날에 시작할 거예요.
We will start on that day. If you want to talk about doing something on the first, second, third day, you can use
번째,
which you learned in the previous lesson with.
날.
For example,
우리는 두 번째 날에 서울에 갔어요.
we went to Seoul on the second day.
우리는 둘째 날에 서울에 갔어요.
We went to Seoul on the second day.
우리는 세 번째 날에 안 만났어요.
We didn't meet on the third day.
우리는 셋째 날에 안 만났어요.
We didn't meet on the third day.
저는 네 번째 날에 계획이 없어요.
I have no plans on the fourth day.
저는 넷째 날에 계획이 없어요.
I have no plans on the fourth day.
첫날,
Is a word that specifically refers to the first day.
저는 첫날에 명동에 갔어요.
I went to.
명동.
On the first day,
저는 첫날에 그 여자를 만났어요.
I met that girl on the first day. Korean weeks.
주,
Weeks in Korean can be used in sentences just like
1,
day, except that there are no other weird words to worry about. You use Sino-Korean numbers when talking about weeks.
저는 다음 주에 미국에 갈 거예요.
I will go to the US next week.
지난주에 저는 계획이 많았어요.
I had a lot of plans last week. The word
주,
can also be used as a counter to counter weeks. When counting weeks, just like when counting days, Sino-Korean numbers are used. When putting a number before,
주.
it doesn't matter if you use the word or the numeral. For example,
저는 2주 동안 한식을 안 먹었어요.
I didn't eat Korean food for 2 weeks.
저는 4주 동안 여자친구를 안 만났어요.
I didn't meet my girlfriend for 4 weeks.
저는 2주 동안 한식을 안 먹었어요.
I didn't eat Korean food for 2 weeks.
저는 4주 동안 여자친구를 안 만났어요.
I didn't meet my girlfriend for 4 weeks. The word
주일,
can also be used as a counter for weeks. This is acceptable, but it sounds a bit more natural to use.
주.
As shown above, for example,
저는 2주일 동안 한식을 안 먹었어요.
I didn't eat Korean food for 2 weeks.
저는 4주일 동안 여자친구를 안 만났어요.
I didn't meet my girlfriend for 4 weeks. Korean month.
달 개월,
First, Notice that the names of each month correspond to the number of the month in the calendar. For example, January equals 1.
월 February equal 2월 December equal 12월.
When counting months, you can either use
달,
or.
개월,
When using
달,
you must use the pure Korean numbers, and when using
개월,
you must use the Sino-Korean numbers. There is no difference in meaning, and both are used frequently when putting a number before.
달,
I prefer to write the Korean word when putting a number before.
개월.
It doesn't matter if you use the word or the numeral.
저는 2달 동안 한국어 수업을 들었어요.
I took a Korean class for 2 months.
저는 2개월 동안 한국어 수업을 들었어요.
I took a Korean class for 2 months.
저는 2개월 동안 한국어 수업을 들었어요.
I took a Korean class for 2 months. My Korean grammar teacher told me years ago that
동안,
is actually incorporated into the meaning of,
달,
which would mean that you wouldn't have to say
동안,
after.
달,
Still, though, most people use
동안,
after.
달,
Korean years.
년.
Years are used just like weeks, which means that you must use the Sino-Korean numbers when putting a number before.
년.
It doesn't matter if you use the word or the numeral.
저는 3년 동안 형을 안 만났어요.
I didn't meet my brother for 3 years.
저는 10년 동안 한국어를 공부했어요.
I studied Korean for 10 years.
저는 3년 동안 형을 안 만났어요.
I didn't meet my brother for 3 years.
저는 10년 동안 한국어를 공부했어요.
I studied Korean for 10 years. However, if you want to say last next year in Korean, you can choose.
지난 다음 년,
Instead, you must use separate words.
작년,
Last year,
내년.
next year. For example,
나는 내년에 한국에 갈 거야.
I will go to Korea next year.
그 사람은 작년에 죽었어요.
That person died last year, this week, this month, this time.
이번,
Finally, you can use
이번.
just like
지난 다음,
when talking about weeks or months to mean this week, this month. You cannot say.
이번 년.
Instead, you must use the separate word.
올해, 저는 이번 주에 계획이 없어요.
I have no plans this week.
저의 어머니는 올해 한국에 올 것입니다.
My mom will come to Korea this year. Note here that it is common to see
에,
omitted from the word.
올해,
You can also see in the section above that this is not the case with
작년,
an.
내년.
You cannot use
이번,
when talking about minutes, seconds, hours. I want to go to school. This hour doesn't make any sense. But remember, in addition to meaning hour,
시간.
also means time. This means that you can say
이번 시간.
to mean this time, which is usually used when talking about this time in class. For example,
우리는 이번 시간에 많이 배웠어.
we learned a lot this time. In most other cases, it is more natural to use
이번에,
instead of.
이번 시간, 나는 너를 이번에 안 만날 거야.
I won't meet you this time.
번,
Can also be added after
지난 다음.
to mean last next time.
저는 박물관에 다음 번에 갈 거예요.
I will go to the museum next time.
저는 박물관에 지난 번에 갔어요.
I went to the museum last time. Per. When talking about each of these units of time, you can add a particle
에,
to indicate within that unit of time how much something was done. You can usually translate this to per in English. For example,
저는 이 약을 하루에 2번 먹어요.
I take this medicine twice per day.
저는 그 친구를 일주일에 한 번 만나요.
I meet that friend once per week.
저는 여기에 한 달에 3번 와요.
I come here 3 times per month.
저는 1년에 2번 미국에 가요.
I go to America twice per year. Almost all the examples in this lesson used.
동안,
There are other ways you can talk about these time words without using.
동안.
For example, I will go to Canada 3 days from now. However, this lesson was reaching the 6-page mark, and I didn't want to overload you more than I already have. I feel like the material in this lesson alone is enough to make your head spin for a while. so I will end it here. In later lessons, you will learn how to apply the concepts you learned in this lesson to more complicated sentences. For more info, please visit howtostudykorean.com.